When it comes to planning for your future, you want someone you can trust. At Prairie State Investments, Mark Pfeiffer is here to help you build a plan that fits your life, your family, and your goals. Whether it's retirement, college savings, or investing wisely for tomorrow, Mark has the knowledge and local commitment to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future up to chance. Call Mark Pfeiffer at Prairie State Investments today at 815-668-8131 and start investing with confidence.
Welcome to NUIC All Access, joined by Joe Murdian. I am your host, Kyle Kampmeyer. Today, we feature 3 guests from the Polo Marcos basketball team. Joe, introduce our guests to us today.
All right, Kyle. Today's guests are Polo head coach Jason Grobe, along with senior all-conference players Camrynn Jones and Carlee Grobe. Here's a look at what they've accomplished in their careers to this point. They won the 2023 Regional Championship. Camrynn Jones, 3-time unanimous first-team all-conference selection. As a junior, IBCA Special Mention All-Stater and AP Honorable Mention All-Stater. Carlee Grobe, NUIC second-team all-conference selection. Coach Grobe, 2023 Sauk Valley Area Coach of the Year. Coach Grobe is currently in his 4th year as a head coach at Polo. Lady Marcos currently having an 11-7 record this season. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Coach, we're going to start with you. Obviously, you've coached quite a few teams, starting with these two here as freshmen. And this group does have some history. When you look back to that 2023 regional championship run, what standards were established in that first year that still show up in the team today?
One of the biggest things was we like to have fun, but when it's time to work, we got to get the work done. That includes everybody from the freshmen all the way to the seniors. We do a lot of our stuff together. Most of that was out of necessity because we didn't have numbers to separate. This year we've been able to split up a little bit because we've got a decent number on JV. But like I said, it's a big thing is when it's time to work, it's time to work. When it's time to have fun, then we have fun and enjoy ourselves and each other.
Hey, Cam, let's go back to your freshman year. You guys won the regional, and winning a regional, that can shape some expectations for, the next few years. How did that moment change you, how you view pressure and responsibility now as being a senior leader for the Lady Marcos?
Yeah, I think it gave me extremely high expectations for myself. Being in that atmosphere so young was absolutely terrifying, a different kind of pressure that I'd never felt before. And so it really sat with me that I was going to need to learn how to deal with that pressure so that I could still perform and do my job for my team. As a freshman, I wanted to prove that I belonged on varsity, so I put a lot of that pressure kind of on myself. And as a senior now, I like to reverse the pressure, and I like to think that it's on the other teams to try and figure out how to stop us. And so I think that mindset change that I didn't have as a freshman has been really big for me now.
So, Carlee, you and Cam have been teammates since grade school, including a 6th grade championship together that your mom, Jen, was able to share the pictures of. So thanks to Jen. How has growing up side by side on the court shaped your trust, your communication, and the accountability between the two of you?
Well, all of us seniors have been playing together since grade school, so that trust between all of us has just been growing as time has gone on. So since we've been growing up, our game has also been evolving, and we all have our specific roles on our team, which makes us all just flow naturally. The time we spent playing together has just made our basketball knowledge so much better. So during drills, mid-practice, or during timeouts, we're all on the same page and we're able to just talk one-on-one, and it flows really well.
Coach, you guys are off to 11-7 start this year. The season hasn't been flawless. There's been some tough losses just recently, Eastland and Fulton. From a coaching standpoint, what did you guys learn from those games or kind of take away from those games that you need to improve on here in the last month of the season?
The biggest thing is we can't let our foot off the pedal at all. I notice sometimes when we get stagnant, we talk a lot less on defense. And for us to be successful, our defense leads to our offense. So when we're talking and communicating well on defense, it usually leads to good things for us. So that needs to pick up for the rest of the season for us to be successful going forward.
So, Cam, when you play a conference front runner like an Eastland or currently a Fulton, and you come up short, what's the internal conversation you're having with yourself afterward? And what separates a good team from a team that actually grows from those tough nights?
Those were 2 tough losses, but the conversation is just always, what could I have done better and how are we going to do better the next time we see them? Because there's always a second time, which is the good thing about conference play. If we lose the first one, always looking forward to the second one. And I don't think there's ever really a point where I truly get over one of those losses, but I think it's just I try to learn from it and don't let it happen again type deal. So I think that is kind of the mentality that helps separate a good team from a team that grows, is we're always looking for ways to grow and what we're going to do better the next game.
So, Carlee, you guys, as we talked about, you're sitting 11-7 right now, third place in the conference. How do you help keep your teammates and some of the younger players on the team locked into the process and not get distracted by, some of the standings or the seating or some of the outside noise?
Like I said, we have a lot of seniors on our team, and we're all very aware that our time together is eventually going to come to an end. So we try to just make every day count, and that's been very clear to our underclassmen. Since we all practice together, we try to just make it clear what our standards are, and we don't look over opponents, and we focus on getting better just one day at a time. We also know that the losses now, although they're important, they're to make us learn. They're there for us to learn from, and the ones that are in February are the ones that count. So we know what our team is capable of, and we just try to remember that that's what matters.
Coach, taking a look at everything balanced out, obviously last week I put out some projections on where the girls were going to land, and myself, you, and Jay were talking about some of that sectional seating when we were sitting at the Eastland shootout as well. Right now, you're currently eyeing a possible 4 seed in sectional play, which would potentially put you in the Galva regional. How do you balance preparing for the postseason basketball without overlooking the work that's still in front of you over these next 3 to 5 weeks with conference play? Of course, within the next 3 weeks, you got the sectional seeding, and then you're going to wrap up the final week of the season where the seedings are already in place. The games really only matter for pride at that point, or conference title possibilities as well. What balance do you have there?
With the girls, I haven't really mentioned the postseason a whole lot. Once the seedings came out, or not the seedings, the subsectionals came out, I just told them that I said we have a chance against everybody in that subsectional, and until the seeding meeting comes out, we need to take care of business and get as many wins as possible and keep stacking wins. For them, I want to make sure they're concentrating on the next opponent, and then only the next opponent, not looking ahead of anybody.
So, Cam, leadership, it looks different as a senior than it did as a freshman. How has your voice changed, like especially when things aren't going your way in a game, maybe compared to your freshman year compared to now as being a senior leader?
I think as a freshman, I came in and I kind of led by example. Just, my thought process was go do your job on the court, and that was it. And so now as a senior, I've definitely started to use my voice more to lead on the court, and especially during timeouts. I think that when things aren't going in the direction we want them to, there's always changes that can be made. And so I think that we as players, the ones that have to execute it on the court, I think me and Carlee have both started to speak up more on what's best for the team, because we're the ones that have to go out there and do it. And I mean, that's hard to tell what we feel, what they see on the sideline. So we definitely speak up a lot more.
So, Carlee, bouncing off of that, what does that accountability look like between you and Cam along with the other seniors? And are there moments now where you guys are checking each other mid-game or in a practice that, fans never see that as well?
Yeah, I'd say we both hold each other to pretty high standards. We're both captains along with Lainey Mandrell. And I think that we should be the standard. We should be the role models for our younger players. And the way that we work in the classroom during practice and during games should be at 100% at all times. But one-on-one, I'd say that me and Camrynn do a good job at making sure we're concentrating on the overall goal, which is just winning this game. Between both of our competitive nature, I think we want the same thing, and that's what makes us thrive. I'm also able to confide in her when I'm having a rough game, and I just know that she'll be able to pick up the slack and help me with that.
Yeah, Coach, from your perspective, obviously you've coached Cam and Carlee now for 4 years. How have they kind of grown as leaders, not just players? There may be something that stands out that they do better now that maybe a couple years ago you wouldn't have seen from them?
They're both really good at helping their teammates, especially the underclassmen. There'll be times after or in the middle of the drills, they'll stop what we're doing and kind of walk the girls through what needs to be done for them to be successful. They've also done a good job of the way they communicate to me, especially. And I think I've improved this as well, is more calm and relaxed when we're talking to each other. The first couple of years, we would just kind of let stuff fly because I've known these girls since preschool. So we're all pretty comfortable with each other. I think we've all three of us here have done a pretty good job of listening better and maybe being better at getting our point across without offending anybody, if you will.
All right, Carlee and Jason, I'll kind of put you guys on the spot here. I think there's a lot of people that always wonder what that relationship's like between a coach / kid. So like, what's kind of the conversations like at home after a tough loss or a big win, or you guys kind of take that home with you, or you just kind of leave it at the gym, or Carlee, I'll let you go first.
I think I do a pretty good job of leaving my emotions in the locker room. We've set like a pretty good boundary of coach and dad. So I know
Okay.
the difference between like who I'm talking to at home. I think I do a better job than Courtney did when it comes to bringing home the game.
I'll agree with that probably.
So I will have to say that Courtney is Carlee's older sister. She was kind of the test run, if you will. There was times when I was coaching Courtney where we'd walk in, slamming doors, yelling at each other, throwing bags in the hallway, and Jen was pretty quick to put a stop to that. So it was once you get out of the truck, when we get in the garage, I'm dad. I'm not coach anymore. So once I kind of worked past that through Courtney's junior year, it was a lot better her senior year, and I think I've improved on that a lot with Carlee as well. Now there might be times where we get in the truck and we drive around town for a little bit before we get home so we can have our talk. But once we get out of the truck and we shut that garage door, I'm dad until I get to practice the next day.
Hey, Carlee. So, you guys won that regional your freshman year. Obviously, your sister Courtney was a starter on that team, and you came off the bench some. What does that mean when you look back, thinking about how you got to win a regional championship with your sister on the team and your dad as the coach?
I mean, it just means so much. Being with my grandpa being on the sideline as well, it just felt like such a bonding experience for all of us. I mean, I was spending more time on the bench and just watching the game, which should help me grow my knowledge as well. And I just think that just being around not only my sister, but that entire junior and senior class, they just taught me so much. And the whole year it's just a great year to remember.
So Cam, when postseason basketball hits, turnovers become a premium. What part of your game do you trust the most when that pressure and those moments start to get heavier?
I think I trust my confidence the most. I mean, I always want the ball in my hands in those moments because I trust myself to stay composed and not get flustered with ball pressure and things like that. And then with that, I also trust myself at the free throw line at the end of games. So I trust my teammates too, but I always want to be that one on the free throw line at the end of games, hitting game winning shots or whatever. I trust myself a lot.
So, Carlee, every team has an identity. If someone was to watch the Polo Marcos for the first time, say when postseason rolls around, say a regional game or a sectional game, what would you want them to say after the game about Polo Marcos basketball?
Just that we're such hard workers. Win or loss, I think we just leave everything on the court. Last year, we only had 6 girls on our varsity team. So we knew that every night would be exhausting and that we would need to step up. And even with some of us playing more than 30 minutes a game, and that just kind of made a switch in our mindsets. Even though we had to have a deeper bench this year, our hard work hasn't let up at all. That's one of the most rewarding things to hear fans say, is because most of our conditioning just goes unrecognized, practices, hard practices. So it just means a lot to us that fans can see that we're giving it all on the court.
So, Coach, let's hypothetically speak for a minute. Let's say you do earn that 4 seed. The path realistically could lead back to that regional championship game for the first time since that 2023 season. What must stand true about this team for that to happen?
We're going to need to play 4 quarters of basketball every time we step on the court the rest of the season. Like I said earlier, we cannot take a possession off. Defensively, we have to be active. We have to be talking, and just trust each other and trust themselves. Sometimes when a couple girls if they miss a shot or two, they start getting down. I tell them, keep shooting. If you miss 10 in a row, you better shoot that 11th, because I have confidence in you, so they need to have confidence in themselves as well.
So Cam, obviously you and Carlee, you guys have been teammates all throughout, junior high and high school here. You guys are seniors now. As this chapter kind of starts to wind down, what does it mean to you personally for you guys to finish this season very strong and possibly make a run at another regional title and beyond?
I think it means a lot to both of us. I remember trying to convince Carlee to play basketball in 3rd grade, which took a lot of convincing, but obviously we got her out. So I don't think any of us could imagine it any other way now. Like Carlee said earlier, our group of seniors is our core group that we've been winning championships with since grade school, like you guys said. So I think it means a lot to all of us. And I think we all kind of have that internal kind of thing that we all know, and we don't need to talk about it. We know how much it would mean. So I think that when we're all in sync, good things happen. And I think we have shown that in the past.
I'm just going to ask Cam to talk about, we've talked about her and Carlee. There's 5 or 6 seniors on this team. I was just going to ask Cam to talk about some of the other seniors here quick. Elaney and Leah and Evelyn and Elsa, and just kind of what that's meant for this core group to stay together this whole time.
It's meant a lot. We're all best friends off the court too. So like the bonding outside of basketball has been really important for us. And I think that leads to our like success on the court, because without that outside stuff, we would not be as close as we are. We wouldn't trust each other as much. So I think that's been really helpful for our core group.
So Carlee, let's fast forward 5 years from now. When people talk about this senior class, what do you hope they say you guys stood for?
I think if you were to ask me that my freshman year, I would say that I hope we would be remembered by our talent or success that we had. But now I hope that we're remembered by our attributes as a team. I think that the hard work, dedication, and competitiveness throughout this whole group of girls exhibits more than any winning record or any plaque could do. I hope that when I come back to visit this program after college or anytime later in my life, those traits can still be found in these players, and that runs deep into our program.
Can I add to that, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
This group of seniors might be the most competitive group of girls I've ever been around, whether it's drills in practice or when we're selling brats in the summer as a fundraiser, or you should see them during powder puff football during homecoming. They went 4-0 in homecoming. I think they might be more proud of that than anything they've accomplished in high school. And I said, they're going out. It doesn't matter what it is. They want to win at everything they're at. And that's going to lead them to good things later on.
No, and that's absolutely correct. The more success that you find, but really the hard work that you put into things that drives to that success, or even the failures that you have a great amount of learning experience from, is definitely something that you can build upon later in life, where you're going to find success. Because we all know life is going to bring us failures along with success, but it's how do we get back up after we get knocked down. And I think going through and having that kind of work ethic and being able to be competitive in anything that you do will help you have that mindset that you can accomplish anything, no matter the outcome. I love hearing the powder puff stories too. That's pretty cool.
Hey Cam, let's for a moment talk about some of your individual accomplishments here. We've talked about 3-time first team all conference, the honorable mention all state last year. Just recently, you're already Polo's all-time leading scorer. Just recent this week though, you went over the 1,500 point mark. Just talk a little bit about what all those individual accomplishments mean to you and maybe for your teammates and your family.
It means a lot more knowing the support system I have behind me. Every time I've ever accomplished something, I've always gotten a lot of support from my team. So I don't think that that's necessarily just an individual accomplishment, because I never would have done it without my support system, my teammates, and my family. So I think it means a lot, just the recognition that I get. And I always want to give that back to them, just because you can't do it alone. Although I scored 1,500, Carlee is the one that's passing me the ball. So like giving back and knowing that it's not just my accomplishment, it's also everyone else's too.
So Coach, beyond the wins and the banners, what do you hope these seniors carry with them long after that last buzzer goes off?
I hope that they realize that everything I've tried to do for them is to make them better basketball players and better people. I think you can learn a lot of life lessons through sports. You're not going to win every game. Like you just said earlier, once you get in the real world, sometimes things don't go your way, and it's how you get up off the floor after you get knocked down. With this group, like I said, I have no worries. Whatever career path they're going to take, they're going to be successful at. The two of these girls here are probably going to end up coaching basketball sometime, and I think they're going to be very successful if that's what the path they try to take as well.
So, Cam, and I'll open this up to Carlee also. If you guys were to talk to, say, some younger girls coming up through the Polo basketball system, say the junior high girls, what's maybe one thing you'd want to tell them that they need to continue to work on, or one thing, a standard that you'd like to see be set as you guys graduate and the next group of Lady Marcos comes through?
I think the one thing we're always telling them is that no matter what you're doing, you need to go 100%. I think that's something that our younger girls kind of struggle with at times because they want to do everything right. Instead of just doing it at 100% and fixing their mistakes, they want to be picture perfect right now. So I think just letting them know that mistakes are part of the process, like you need to make mistakes and that mistakes help you grow, is one of the main things that we're stressing, so that they go 100% all the time.
I also think that a successful team, to be a successful team or have a successful player, you need to be a good teammate as well. Don't just focus on your own accomplishments, focus on what the team as a whole can do better. I think being a good teammate, like having your coaches realize that you are a good teammate other than your stats, is such a good compliment to have. I think that's one of the biggest things one of the things that means the most to me, is just that being a good teammate, regardless of the amount of points I have or anything like that. So just being a good teammate to everyone and not just focusing on yourself.
So, Cam, when you're in the middle of a game, you get those momentum swings. What's the first thing that you focus on to help stabilize yourself and the team?
I think internally, I've kind of learned to do it without thinking about it for myself, but I realize that not everyone has that yet. So I think the main thing we focus on is just our defense, because that's where we lack in most times. Our defense and our energy. And so those go hand in hand together. Without defense, we don't have energy. And that's where those swings kind of come into play when we get down on ourselves. And then just the next play mentality, which also goes along with defense. Like if you mess up, just get to the next play. And I think that's something that we've been stressing a lot more this year, especially, is to get over it and move on with the game and try to get ourselves out of our own ruts.
So, Jason, every good coach, always has a good assistant. Talk a little bit what JV coach Tommy Bardell's meant to your program the last 4 years.
I think Tommy's great with the X's and O's. I was joking with him a couple weeks ago. I said, I've got the second best assistant in the conference, but when Nicole's got a Hall of Famer sitting next to her, I said, she's going to win that battle every time. I said, no offense, buddy, but I said, Colleen might have got you there. But the thing we work well together. There's times where during his games, he'll call a timeout. I'll jump in there. And during our games, if I call a timeout, he's like, I got it. And I think that's good for the girls at both levels to hear a different voice. It's the same thought process, but it's a different voice. And I appreciate all the hard work he does. He does a lot of film work for us. So he's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. I mean, when Nicole and Colleen have combined for well over 1,000 wins,
right.
That's pretty hard to top right there.
Right.
And then you got Coach Martz on the bench, who's been there
the entire time Colleen was there.
Yeah. Crazy. Carlee, how do you personally manage emotions in tight games where you know that possessions are getting more magnified the deeper the game goes?
I've been in a lot of close games before, and just being able to focus on what I can control is the best thing that keeps me steady. I've unintentionally learned how to block out the crowd noise and focus on the game. And I think that's helped me stay composed and calm. But at the end of the day, it's just basketball. I know the sport, how much the sport means to me. And coming into the season, I've learned that just to take every moment in, stressful or not, win or loss. I know that high pressure situations, every possession matters. So I really do whatever I need to help my team and just have success as a whole.
Cam, Obviously, being one of the top players in the area, you've played with a target on your back since your freshman year. How do you embrace those expectations instead of letting them become pressure?
I think the mental side of the game has played a really big role in that, and just starting to look at the target on my back, as kind of a compliment and a sign of respect, and then the pressure as a privilege. I think those little mindset changes have really helped me with the pressure side of things. And along with that, I think the person that expects the most out of me is myself. And so there's always kind of that internal pressure, but I think that has only driven me to work harder and become better.
So, Carlee, growing up around the game pretty much, I mean, your grandfather was the head coach prior to your father being the head coach. You've seen a lot of highs and lows with adversity throughout the Polo Marcos seasons over the years. What do you believe separates those teams that make the deep postseason runs from those that fall short?
I think having trust between one another, staying disciplined, and just having fun while we're playing. I think this team is the most successful when we're just out there playing the game. But this group of girls are so close that our time in the gym isn't the only time we spend together. I'll say hi to underclassmen in the hallway in between classes. Some classes I do have with underclassmen. I just think that is amazing. The senior class has made it a point to the underclassmen that they can come to us with anything, basketball or not. And I think that building that relationship between all of the grade levels will continue to grow our program and their success even when our class is gone.
So, Jason, if you could boil this season down to one lesson that you maybe hope sticks with this group, regardless of how far you guys go in the postseason, what might that be?
Just never stop working. In the game, we need to work until the clock hits zeros, but take that mentality onto college or into the workforce. If as long as you work hard and put everything you have into anything you're trying to do, you're going to be successful. So just don't settle for things and keep working and find the best that you can be no matter what you're going to do.
Yeah, there's no better message to have. I mean, that's exactly what you hope that your kids have as they move into college and or real world, or a combination of both, because everything's going to continue to ride with them. And there'll come a point sometime in life after high school, they're going to think back about something that they have going on currently in their life, and they're going to be like, I remember this time when we were here back at Polo and Coach Grobe said this, or something to that effect, and that's the positive impact that you as a coach want to have on your kids as you're trying to guide them through not just sports, but trying to go through those principles of what sports does, like you said earlier, where it drives life skills. And there's no better impact than that. And it's something that, I came across here a few weeks ago on the Pat McAfee show, where a lot of your upper level leaders in businesses across the country have sports backgrounds that just proves that if you're playing high school sports or even move into college sports, that competitive nature helps you have a more successful career once you get a job in the real world. And it's amazing how many impacts you can look back. I look back at my high school career, and I'm 45 years old, and I look at like what Coach Lano did, who's also a Hall of Fame coach. I look at what Coach Feiner did. I take lessons from Coach Henefeld, who's still on the bench at Dakota at almost 80 years old, and in his last year, of course. But there's a lot of things that happen throughout the course of life where I can still pull back to 25, 27, 28 years ago and think, man, I remember this when we were talking about this, and it all sticks together. I mean, as the years go on, yeah, it seems like, and you guys are in the same boat because you guys are only like 2 years older than me, but you feel those things. I mean, yes, they feel so far away at times, but other times it still feels so very close to you at the same time.
Yeah.
Cam, one more question here to round things out. Obviously, you've had several games this year where some college coaches have come to watch. I'm not asking you to tell me where you're going or anything like that, but how have you managed that process as far as coaches coming to watch you coaches contacting you or your parents. How do you balance that, as far as, you know, worrying about what you may be doing this time next year compared to trying to get your team a conference championship or regional championship this year?
I think mainly trying to focus on the now. I mean, obviously, the recruiting process has been a long process, and I'm worried about next year too. But right now, I need to focus on the high school career, and this year means a lot to me with it being my core group of seniors. So I think just pushing kind of the college side out during the games and focusing on what I need to do in my job and trying kind of win as a whole right now, and then focusing on the college side after the game's over or after is over. That's when the college side matters to me more.
Yeah, that's always a fun process. I was fortunate enough to play college baseball myself, and going through what you're talking about, Cam, it is a lot of fun. As I tell anybody, just have fun with the journey and the process, because once you get to college, you might find that college is even more fun than high school. And right now it's hard to fathom that, because you're with a bunch of girls that you've grown up with your entire life, and ultimately nothing ever replaces that. And play college sports, you got to really want it at the same time, because it is a different animal. It's a different beast. You still have to go to school, but at the same time, it's more like a job in that essence too when you're playing college athletics. And it takes an even more of a deeper drive to stay competitive and continue to grow. But man, have fun with that process, because it is a ton of fun and the journey's well worth it.
For sure.
Well, we want to take the time to thank you, ladies and coach. We know it was a very early morning, but thank you for taking the time to join us today. Your story definitely reflects exactly what the NUIC conference is all about, with accountability, multi-sport athletes, programs that continue to build themselves the right way, wins or losses, does not matter. But, you guys have definitely set yourselves up with a good winning culture over the course of your tenure here in the last 4 seasons. Obviously, we still got a lot of season left here. Well, we're midway through, but, we got 5 weeks of regular season play still to go. Obviously, sectional seeding coming out here in a couple weeks, but we're going to continue to be watching you the rest of the season. We want to wish you guys the best of luck as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And Kyle, thanks to you and Joe and Jay for all the hard work you guys do. It's great to see small schools get some recognition, and I know everyone appreciates your guys' hard work, so keep it up.
Thank you. I wish Jay was here for the show, but obviously he's down in Peoria, having a game today on a Sunday against Peoria, albeit. But Jay definitely was the driver behind the NUIC All Access. He reached out to me, wanted to see how we could grow into evolve more sports. And I told him I'd be more than happy to do it. I just needed somebody to do it with me. And he goes, well, I'm right here. That's why I'm asking. So it made that jump very easy. And then, of course, adding Joe to the show this year has definitely made it even better. And I honestly, myself, I couldn't be more excited to have Joe on every week, having Jay by my side here on a weekly basis, bringing these podcasts together and really getting down and showcasing what the NUIC is all about, and why I feel, and I know Joe agrees, that it's by far the best conference in small school sports in the state of Illinois.
I agree. And it's not just one sports, it's across the board.
Exactly. I love it. I'm always going to be a champion of small sports, but specifically our conference as well. I love our conference. I love the communities within our conference. And I really enjoy the fact that when we get into postseason play and other teams get knocked out, they show up to continue to cheer on the other teams within the conference that are still going strong. And, to me, that speaks volumes to what our entire NUIC community is about. So myself and Joe are going to be right back right after this. When the job matters, your equipment can't fail. That's where J&R Rentals delivers. Serving Tri-States area from East Dubuque, J&R Rentals is your local source for dependable equipment. From lifts, trailers, pumps, and job site essentials built to work as hard as you do. Homeowners, contractors, Big projects or small jobs, expect the same standard every time. Pickup or delivery is available. Equipment sales, service and repairs, propane refills, reliable equipment from people who know the job. Call J&R Rentals today at 815-747-7707 and get to work. Joe, we just got done talking with Polo head coach Jason Grobe, along with senior all-conference players Carlee Grobe and Cam Jones. And man, that was a great interview. I really felt like those guys really put out a lot of great information as far as what the Polo Marcos are about. And you take a look over their high school career, they have a winning record. They have a regional championship. Granted, they've followed that up with the regional semifinal and a regional quarterfinal loss. But now, looking ahead, they are still projecting to land into that 4-seed spot come sectional seeding, provided that they continue to take care of business, obviously. But they also have a great opportunity of getting back to a regional championship game, giving themselves an opportunity to collect another regional title. But no matter the direction they go, it's going to be tough, which is what you want a regional championship game to be. You want it to be tough and challenged.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think Polo's going to be fine. They did have a tough week this week, but I think that maybe sometimes can really help a team. Better to have that tough week in mid-January than in mid-February. So, and again, I think you're going to start to see Cam Jones, as we talked about, she scored 1,500 points in her career. I really think you're going to see her really start to put this team on her back, continue to be the great leader that she's been. And, it's going to take a really good game from somebody in the postseason to knock Polo out with Cam Jones on the court.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they're definitely getting contributions from other players. It's just not Cam. Obviously, Carlee's been a huge contributor along with Leah Tobin and Lainey Mandrell. And it's just been really good to see a lot of that take place. But yes, Cam is definitely the driver. And, when you're a 1,500 plus point scorer, you're going to be the driver. You're going to be the targeted player. So now it comes down to how do you get better open looks for her as well, because in order for them to win, let's be honest, she's got to be scoring she's got to be scoring her points, and then other people need to be stepping up in their roles as well.
Yeah, for sure. And they'll get it figured out. Like, so they had a tough week this week, but they'll be fine. Kyle, one of the best things I thought about that interview, and all three of them touched on it, Cam and Carlee and Coach Grobe. And this is what you love about small town sports. Just the 6 seniors on this team, they're all best friends off the court. They've all grown up together. That's the kind of stuff you like to, hear and see in small towns. And I can attest to that because I know all of them very well. It's just kind of resembles the coverage area, the NUIC we have. They resemble as well as anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so much fun watching teams like Polo continue to do what they do, the town support behind them. And I think that they're priming up for a good thing. And, Coach Grobe talked about it, this senior class being one of the most competitive classes or group of girls he's ever seen, which is absolutely awesome. And, you hope that they can continue to trend in the direction that they're going. And it would be very cool to see them pull off another regional championship as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, Kyle, we kind of right now got them projected as a 4 seed. If things played out, possibly see a Newman in a regional championship game. But again, we don't know that. That's just kind of our projection right now. A lot has to happen for that to happen, obviously. But, we'll see how things shake out here, but Polo's definitely, they got the talent to get there. So we'll see how the last month of the season finishes out here for Lady Marcos.
100%. So obviously we talked about it already. This past week, Cam Jones collected her 1,500th career point in her storied career. On top of that, we've had some other good performances, albeit it was an Eastland game against Polo in one of those conference games. Sienna Peterson putting up 26 points in the first half. Joe, you were watching that game. Tell us a little bit about that and the big win that Eastland had that night.
Yeah, so Kyle, that was game that I call on WLT radio on Thursday night at Polo, Eastland versus Polo, first place in the conference up for grabs. And Eastland, they just jumped on Polo right from the start. As you said, Sienna Peterson, Kyle, I don't remember many performances I've seen like this in girls basketball in a half. 26 points, Kyle, in the first half. She was doing it from long range. She had a couple of mid-range jumpers. She was making her free throws. I mean, it was an all-around great performance by Peterson. And it just goes to show how talented that Eastland girls team is. Kyle, I've watched them on film some, but it was my first look at them in person, the Eastland girls team, who's sitting at 19-2 right now. They're just so well balanced, Kyle, and they play so well as a team. Several different girls can bring the ball up, get into their offense. They all just play good, sound, solid defense. They all rebound. Again, it was my first look at them in person, and just a one-game synopsis, but I did not see a weakness. I could not pinpoint a weakness on that Eastland girls team.
Yeah, they look to be playing a lot stronger this year than what we even saw out of them last year. I mean, last year they had a good run, right, in conference play, but fell short in regionals. But this year, they definitely look a lot stronger. And getting Trixie Carroll back into the lineup after missing quite a bit has definitely helped. And speaking of Trixie Carroll, we just did receive an announcement that she is now committed to Bradley University for volleyball. So congratulations to Trixie on that as well. But having her on the basketball court, too, has been a big uptick for Eastland. And, it'll be interesting to see how they continue to improve. And of course, we have Coach Brinker along with Morgan McCullough and Tatum Grimm coming on the show next week as well. So we're definitely going to be able to dig into some of that Eastland magic as we come up on that podcast here just a week away.
Yeah, and Kyle, the other thing, you never want to jump too far ahead. And I know Coach Brinker won't let the Eastland girls do this, but it's hard for people like you and me not to talk about the fact that Eastland is hosting the 1A girls sectional this year. I mean, if they can win a regional and get to a sectional on their home court, they are going to be tough to beat at Eastland in a sectional atmosphere.
Yeah, that'll be a very raucous crowd, to say the least, but should be a lot of fun. Taking a look at the boys' side, Eastland there is also 14-2. They picked up 2 wins yesterday in the MLK shootout at Pecatonica. They continue to get better as the season goes on. 2 primary players back in both Parker Krogman and Zy Haverland, but now you're starting to see the play of the other players like Braden Anderson continue to shine and rise out, as that inexperience is starting to grow and gel together. And, we talked about it before, Eastland was winning some close games, but then they beat Pecatonica in some convincing games as well. And they continue to build, and, rightfully so. They're right where they're at. They were the state runner-up a year ago, and not the same team, but still starting to perform and elevate that performance to another level right now.
Yeah, Kyle, this to me is just such a typical Eastland team. The coaching staff and the players on the team, they understand Parker Krogman's their best player. They understand that he's going to be their leading scorer most nights. The other guys understand their role. Zy Haverland, he's going to rebound, play defense in the middle there. Braden Anderson, he's going to help bring the ball up at times. He's going to make open shots. He's going to play defense, and they haven't had Wyatt Carroll for a while, so get him back and get him back to 100%. Still think the best is to come for this Eastland team, and they're going to be, as always, we expect them to be playing their best basketball come mid-February, and they'll be a tough out once regional time rolls around, obviously.
Another team we were talking about last week, Joe, was the Dakota Indians, and we were talking about how tough their schedule was going to be this week, and they just blew through that schedule. They beat Warren, they beat Lena Winslow, they beat Pearl City, they beat Marengo, and they beat Scales Mound to go 5-0 on the week. Impressive performance by the Indians as they up their record to 16-1 as well.
Yeah, Dakota, Kyle, we talked about it last week, the tough week they had. And those games against Warren, Lena, and Pearl City all on the road, and then Scales Mountain and Marengo games were at the South Lloyd MLK. So Dakota getting 5 impressive wins in a 6-day span. And really, Cal, none of those games were really, they weren't nail biters by any means. I'm not saying it was easy, but, when you look at the final scores, the closest game was the 12-point win over Scales Mountain. So, I mean, Dakota, they got things rolling in the right direction right now. And, they got, as we've talked about, they got the height with Kason Mayer and Stuckey. They got a very solid point guard, Liam Burke, and they're getting contributions from other guys. They got the great coaching staff. They got all the tools, Kyle. So no surprise here. They're sitting at 16-1, but it's been very impressive the way they've gone about it.
Yeah, they're currently on a 9-game winning streak. At one blemish, ended a 7-game winning streak. That blemish came to Byron 49-43 back in the Forest and Holiday tournament. They had played 2 weeks prior to that where Dakota had won 59-54. So that was a 5-point win turned around into a 6-point loss. Regardless, you take a look at that and you take a look at Newman, and Newman is sitting at 20-0 currently. They also had to play Byron in that Forest and Holiday Classic, and Newman won in overtime, a game that you called, Joe. We talked about that one already.
Yep.
It's easy to say that you put Dakota with Newman, that could be quite the matchup here. Newman definitely getting a lot of high accolades across the state. Dakota's still overlooked to a degree.
Yeah, which I agree with everything you just said, Kyle. That surprises me some that Dakota's maybe not getting the accolades statewide that you and I think they deserve now. I guarantee you Coach Bartelt's not letting that factor into practice or games.
No.
So we know him well enough to know that that's not a factor or something that's being talked about. But, that stuff's all going to work itself out, Kyle, come postseason time. So, could Newman and Dakota be on a collision course for the sectional championship game in Orion? Possibly. Obviously, there's some other teams that are going to have a say in that, like we aforementioned Eastland, teams like Pecatonica, Scales Mound, Galena. There's other teams that are going to have a say in that, obviously. But yeah, right now, just kind of going by records and what we've seen, Eastland and Dakota are two of the favorites. I'm sorry. Yeah, Eastland, Dakota, and Newman are three of the favorites to be playing in the Orion sectional.
Yeah, I have not put everything together yet on the boys side like I did the girls side. My plan is to get the boys side caught up this week so we can get a look at what that projection looks like, and of course then update the girls side as well. So we'll get that information put out as we continue to get into that projection phase on what we expect to see come subsectional seeding time. Again, like we said, girls release on February 5th, boys release on February 12th. So that is coming right around the corner, faster than what we realize, but should be a lot of fun. Another team to start looking at once again are the Pecatonica Indians. They have been winners of 5 in a row. They continue to improve that play that we've talked about. Their youth is starting to get a lot more consistency as they continue to grow from the season that they had a year ago. But Pecatonica is still going to be a player here when it is all said and done and we get into these regionals.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Coach Heisler, he doesn't shy away from tough competition. I know they got a non-conference game coming up here real soon against Byron. But, of course, before that, Peck and Dakota got a big conference matchup coming up Tuesday night, Kyle, on the 20th here. Both teams undefeated in the conference. So that'll be a good test for both teams and a really good test for Peck to see where they at and how far they've come along here in the last month or so.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a must-see game there. Pecatonica at Dakota on Tuesday. 7 p.m. tip is scheduled. Should be a lot of fun. We've talked about the NUIC North being very tough. So far, Dakota has taken apart Lena Winslow and Pearl City. And now they have Pecatonica coming up. And as you said, Joe, both teams sitting undefeated in conference play. That will be very good. East Dubuque is another team on the western part that has definitely taken control of some things. And Galena is now starting to become a bigger factor in a lot of things. They've improved their record to an 11-9, had a very impressive win over Lena Winslow here this past week as well, a game that I was at Friday night. Galena's going to have their hands full as well, but between them and East Dubuque, they are definitely starting to lift themselves up into that regional subsectional seeding talk conversation as well.
Yeah, Kyle, there's no doubt about it. When we look at that now, I think we all think that Dakota would probably be the 1 seed in that subsectional. I think the bigger question is who's going to assert themselves to that 2 and 3 seed line. And some of those teams you just talked about, Pecatonica, Galena, East Dubuque, Scales Mound. I mean, Kyle, it's wide open to who could get that 2 and that 3 seed in that subsectionals. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks here as this conference play continues to take shape, but I'm more looking at who's going to assert themselves and maybe go on a little run here and get to that 2 or 3 line to where you would avoid a Dakota in a regional. Not that it would be easy by any means, but I think if you can avoid Dakota and get to that 2-3 line, you're much better off.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Still a lot of basketball to be played. Still have 3 weeks before subsectional seeding comes out on the boys' side as well. So we'll take a look. And like I said, we'll get those projections out there to kind of see where they fall right now and give our viewership a look there. Taking a look at one last thing before we close out the week. Jennings Dunker has received a Senior Bowl invite. This news just released yesterday. And with that just means his draft stock's rising, Joe. That's exciting times for Lena Winslow fans, Iowa fans, and just the whole local NUIC area as Jennings Dunker continues to put together a great resume that is looking at a potential second-round draft selection.
Yeah, congratulations to Jennings, obviously, and his family. That's quite the honor. The Senior Bowl, Kyle, 25 years ago, the Senior Bowl probably got more pub than it does now, just as the way things are with college sports and that. But, for maybe some people don't follow as closely, the Senior Bowl is a big deal because that means it's you're getting looked at, by the pros. You're projected to be drafted in that first or second or third round if playing in that Senior Bowl. So that's a big deal, Kyle.
Yeah. So congratulations to Jennings on that. Obviously, we'll continue to keep you updated there. And, like we said, the Winter Olympics are going to be kicking off here February 5th. Team USA on the women's side, on the hockey side, where we have Orangeville's Tessa Janicki playing. They open up play with Czechia on February 5th. So we'll continue to stay tuned into that as well. Currently, she's with Penn State, but she's been crossing her time between playing with Penn State and practicing with Team USA to get ready for these Olympics. And what a wild time for Tessa and what she has going on and the balance that she's had to be able to do to not only be the captain of Penn State, but also now getting ready to pursue an Olympic gold medal as well. Great times for area athletes right now, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Pretty impressive when we really sit back and think about it.
Yeah, man. So that gives you a look at the NUIC last week. Also, again, a great interview with Polo head coach Jason Grobe, along with seniors Carlee Grobe and Cam Jones. Next week, we bring on Eastland head coach Nicole Brinker, along with seniors Tatum Grimm and Morgan McCullough. That'll be another great episode as well. We've also established our first February interviews. We're going to have Eastland boys head coach Scott Shaber on February 1st, followed by February 8th, Eastland girls head basketball coach Hannah Teely. Joe, this is going to be a lot of fun these next couple weeks as we get ready to roll into the postseason of high school basketball. And I think we've put ourselves in a good position to line up some great people coming along the way.
Yeah, I believe so, Kyle. Excited to talk to all these coaches and all these players. And again, what NUIC All Access stands for. We just try to bring some insights to some of these small schools every week and different programs, and it's a lot of fun.
It sure is. So with that, there's still a lot of games to be played, a lot of big games coming up that are going to start determining further seeding potential and possibilities along with the conference standings. So as always, get out to those games, root for your teams, always root for the NUIC. We'll see you next week.